This battle out past the election. Attorney David Di Pietro, though, here with more on the rules that actually surround the confirmation process. Thanks a lot for joining us, David, because we've heard everything, from historical precedent to every other strategy out there. How would this likely play out?
Well, let me explain some of the theatrics that can go down. After the president makes his nomination, it has to go to the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's where all the games are going to be played. The nominee is going to be vetted, and if you remember the Justice Thomas and the Anita Hill scandal and all those things that went on in the past, that whole process can be dragged out. It can be an interrogation of a lifetime. Assuming that that nominee can even pass that committee, because if the nominee can't pass the committee, it dies there. Then a second nominee would have to come through, and then a third nominee would have to come through. So technically, the Republican-controlled Senate Judiciary Committee can hold it up in that committee. But assuming it even gets to the committee, look at the times we have now. We have Senator Rubio and Cruz running for the President of the United States. They have a right to go out there and filibuster and cause a delay, and the clock is ticking. Can the 10 months be had, and can the next president make the next appointment?
David, let me jump in here because I want to make sure I'm following along. The Judiciary Committee, is this committee already assembled? And would anybody who's not on this committee be able to filibuster that process?
It's a standard committee. In that committee, you need a majority of the vote to go to the Senate floor. If that committee rejects the nominee, then that nominee doesn't go to the Senate floor.
But is there someone on that committee right now that you think would step up and create havoc, filibusters, or outright reject a candidate?
I have a feeling my Republican Party is going to find somebody that's going to do that kind of work. This is a big deal. The next nominee of the Supreme Court of the United States, with the void of losing Scalia, hard and conservative, this is going to be a big, big battle. It's going to happen, and I don't know who that person is going to be, but that person is going to be a hero for the party, and is going to be the hatchet man to make sure that the Republicans get their next nominee.
How much harder would it be if President Obama were to nominate someone that's already gone through this sort of approval process, someone like a Loretta Lynch that's already been, given the stamp of approval for a very high office within his administration?
That could be a complication that the Republicans will have a quagmire to deal with. He could put up the candidate, the candidate that's not rejectable, and that could actually hurt the Republican Party going into a presidential election if they look like they're going too partisan. If you put up the angel candidate, the one that everybody would support or had to support, the Republican Party is going to be in a big quagmire.
Now, we keep talking about history, and of course, a lot of people point back to Ronald Reagan. You have Bork, then you have Ginsburg, and then finally Kennedy, who actually has turned out not to necessarily be the conservative that a lot of people thought he would be. Is that another tack to sort of maybe perhaps force President Obama to ultimately nominate someone who's not a clear-cut liberal that maybe works both sides, if that person even exists these days?
That would be a great strategic move on President Obama's part, but this is a legacy. The president's legacies are their Supreme Court nominees. He's going to give us the most liberal nominee that he can find that the Republicans can't throw punches at. I don't know who that person is going to be, but I promise you this is going to be very strategic, and this person is going to be very, very liberal.
On a scale of 1 to 10, the likelihood that that President Obama's nominee will be confirmed?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 1. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Republicans are going to pull punches. This is a big deal. Scalia was the hero for the Republicans. He was Reagan's appointment. Right. He was the staunch supporter of the Fourth Amendment and individual rights. I think this is a battle of a lifetime.
All right, David Di Pietro, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
President Obama, though, does have 300 days left.